Hey, besties! Welcome back to another episode of Tea and Takes with Simi. I hope you're having a lovely day, week, month, and if not, I'm so sorry. And I hope things turn around very, 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 very quickly for you. And I hope it gets better. But I think like this few minutes you're going to spend with me is at least going to, throw a little bit of sugar and spice to your day. So let's dive right in. In the last episode, we talked about what it feels like to be lonely even if someone else is around. And today I just wanted us to do a mirror check. I wanted us to not point the finger at someone else and just do a self-evaluation to ask ourselves, am I the one making someone else feel lonely? Last week we talked about how it's possible to be in the presence of someone, have companionship, and still be lonely. And I know that when we're thinking about that, when we're sort of listening to that, maybe some people were thinking about someone else. Like, oh, I felt this when I was with person A or person B. Or ex-partner A. I hope it is X for your sake. Or like ex-friend B. However, how about when it is us who consistently make people feel lonely? That aching silence where those who love us are not physically alone, but they feel lonely whenever they are with us. I want us to turn the mirror around and ask ourselves that, because the truth is, without meaning to, sometimes we create loneliness for the people we claim to love. Here's the thing. As wonderful as your intentions might be, nobody lives inside your head. People cannot read your thoughts. They can't read your intentions or your emotions. All they can read and take a cue from to reference what you're thinking is your actions. So even if your heart is full to overflowing of love and care for someone, if your actions communicates indifference or nonchalance or neglect, that's what they're going to read, and they will not be wrong. And this is what could cause loneliness for the people you love. I'm not going to say claim to love, because I'm sure in your heart you probably do love them. I think that this self-evaluation matters because it's easy to blame others for us feeling lonely in relationships with them. But we need to also be honest with ourselves and ask ourselves, in my relationship, am I showing up the way I think like I'm showing up? Because we always believe that we are well-intentioned. But we need to ask ourselves if we are unintentionally or subconsciously making someone else feel invisible. I think that it doesn't typically, like, making someone else feel lonely doesn't typically come in grand ways. I think, as I said this last week, that it's typically a slow fade. So we need to evaluate small actions we do, like maybe not checking up on our partner. I will speak about partner a lot because I think that there are different standpoints of what you should do with a partner, like romantic partner versus maybe like a friend or family. So for example, if you claim to love a lady or a guy, whether you're in a relationship with them or you're married or you're trying to get in that, do you call them and check up on them every day and even multiple times a day? Or do you just think to yourself, like, I was busy, it doesn't matter because I was thinking about you? Bro, what does that even mean? Because your partner cannot see your thought. They cannot see the multiple times they popped into your head during the day. All they feel is your silence and the fact that you didn't just send them a text to say, I was thinking about you. That's the only way they can know. If you text them 6 times to say, I was thinking about you, that's the only way they know you. And even then, they think you only thought about them 6 times. So imagine you didn't send a text or call them at all throughout the day. Yeah. To them, you didn't think about them at all. So also, other slow fade ways that we make others feel lonely is when someone sort of comes to us with a problem, not really listening actively, being distracted, responding with just like a sort of impatience, like you can't wait to get this over with. And you might have aspired to aspire yourself to believe that you're sort of being efficient and whatever. You're so busy, you're such an efficient person. Time is money. But what they experience it as is just self-centeredness and you being insensitive. And I'm sorry if this sounds harsh, but it just is what it is. I know that you're tired most of the time. We're adults and adults is always adulting, but still, just the little time you have to spend with them, if you're just like on your phone scrolling away, doing everything but talking to them, and when they share like a meaningful moment with you, be it happy or be it sort of touching, or even it might be random, because sometimes connection is built from somebody sharing like a random thought with you, or a random moment with you that doesn't even have a depth or a meaning or any purpose to it other than them just sharing it with you because you're someone who means something to them and they're just trying to sort of build connection. If you just nod absent-mindedly, or you just like ignore or just like stare at them and be like, why did you show me this? I think that might be a way that you're definitely creating loneliness. So I think that we just have to in general think about affection, connection as like people are always extending little figs of connection. I think that just have a golden rule in your mind. If you think that you are guilty of making people feel lonely, have a golden rule that when someone extends a fig of connection, you will sort of latch onto it, because these small moments matter, and these small moments are what sends a message that you matter a lot to me, or you don't matter at all to me. I think it's possible for you to just believe that because maybe you said it one time, or you showed one big emotion, that like, oh, of course she knows that I care, or of course he knows I care, or because you said it, I don't know, some time ago, that like, oh, I'm gonna be going into this sort of busy time in my life, so please, I'll be busy. You just assume that like the person knows that, oh, I'm busy, and the person knows I'm tired. However, the way the other person is experiencing your actions feels like you're turning away from them, and you cannot blame them for sort of filling that gap with thoughts that you don't care. Questions I think I would like us to just ask ourselves as like a mirror check is very simple. I'm going to give practical examples for you, and practical questions, not just vague. Ask yourself, do I check in enough during the day to let them know that I was thinking about them? It's very simple. If you thought about this person 5 times, did you let them know? And it extends, I think I'll extend this now also to like family or even friends. It doesn't even have to be very intimate friends you might not speak to every day. If they pop into your mind, send them a freaking text in 2 seconds and say, hi, I thought about you just now and I'm missing you and I love you. Yeah. When they talk, ask yourself, do I listen? Without trying to just jump into fix mode or like rushing their mode. Do I ask follow-up questions to show that I'm really concentrating and I understand? Do I even actually concentrate? Ask yourself, do I make them feel seen in the little everyday moments, not just on big occasions like birthdays or anniversaries? Do I actually make them seen just like every day on a day-to-day basis? Telling them like, oh, I like your hair, I like your outfit, liking, I don't know, their pictures, telling them to send you intimate things that just like, build that connection. Ask yourself, when I'm tired, do I communicate that I need a little bit of space, or do I just withdraw and expect them to fill in the gaps and fill it in positively? Ask yourself, am I treating my partner, my sibling, my friend, my parent, everything, like my loved one, am I treating them as someone who deserves my attention, or am I just like running on autopilot around them? I know that these questions might seem uncomfortable, but I want us to like genuinely answer them to ourselves so that we can be more present and not make people feel lonely in their relationships with us. How to show up better? I think that if you realize from asking yourself the above questions that I've mentioned, that you have been contributing to the loneliness of those you claim to love, I think there's no need to drown in guilt, because we are all human in every moment. And instead, I think that some practical ways you can change that and just show up better is do a short call, send text messages. I think that's the beautiful thing about things like status and all these things that social media has brought. When you watch someone's status, interact, drop a like, comment, say something, like just, I feel like sometimes life has given you an opportunity to grab the fig of connection, grab it. Practice active listening. When somebody's telling you something about their day, listen genuinely. Listen, ask follow-up questions, reflect back what you've heard. You don't even have to give them advice all the time, although when needed, please do give advice. But you don't have to give advice all the time. Sometimes just listen, and then don't let everything be purposeful. Sometimes just gist for the sake of gisting. Like, don't feel like talking to the people that you love is a waste of time, even if it is literally pointless conversation. Just have that pointless conversation. Choose engagement over escaping. I know that after a long day, it might feel good to, you might feel even, you might be very overstimulated. And it is tempting to just now go into your cocoon, and then days becomes weeks and hours become long days, and then before you know, you've not spoken to the person you came to like in days and weeks. I think that even if it is easier, maybe give yourself a deadline, like, okay, I need to de-stimulate myself for like maybe 1 hour, and after that I have to like set sort of structures in place for yourself to ensure that you connect with those you love. Also acknowledge their small wins. If they share a victory with you, if they share something that they did good in a day, no matter how tiny it is, celebrate it. Validate them, validate people's joy, because joy and validating someone's joy deepens connection. And also communicate your needs. If you're really drained, and don't be distinct to communicate it consistently. I think it's good to not assume that one communication has covered for further days. If you say you're busy today, don't be distinct to say you're busy tomorrow again, and tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow. But don't just say you're busy and not like establish connections. Like, oh, today is still really busy for me. However, I will be thinking of you. Just be sweet. It costs nothing. It doesn't remove anything from you to be sweet. And it makes the person feel safe and connected because, you're communicating. So, because just always remember that silence leaves room for misinterpretation, and communication builds trust. And also extend all of this advice to non-romantic relationships, like the relationship with your parents. Call them, and when you call them, don't just go into solution. Call your parents, and when you call them, don't go into solution mode and just be like, and be exasperated at everything they're doing. Just gist with them, meet them at the level they are, and just talk pointless talk. Just make them happy. And gist with your siblings, just with your friends. Check up on them. When you can't, send them texts whenever it is they pop into your head and you think about them. In closing, I would just challenge all of us to ask ourselves, am I the one creating the distance? Am I the one making someone feel lonely? And remember that people don't read your thoughts. They only read your actions. If you do not express the love, people will feel like they are unloved. But if you do express the love, even if it is in small ways, small consistent ways, that intentionality has the power to make someone feel very seen and not lonely. All right. Toodles. And this is it. Please follow. Please subscribe. Please share. And until next time, I love you.